Missed you guys. So sorry I couldn't see you guys last Sunday, but I have a whole last story for you guys. But before we dive into that, if you don't know who I am Tara with Kittens, Weights, and Tarot. You can learn a little bit more about me by checking out my information down below, checking out the website, kittensweightsandtarot.com. Maybe check out Desert Cauldron for some witchy goods as we enter the darker half of the year. And check out James's shop for many wonderful hand-picked crystals. But all right, what do you guys have cooked up for today? What do you have cooked up for this week? What is happening? Any major happenings since last we spoke? Remember that I didn't get to see you guys last Sunday. My voice was, there was no voice. Kind of hard to have a live chat if you have no voice. So anyway, let's see. Oh, wow. Lots of homies here. We have our mighty moderators. What up, Susie? Hello, hello. She says, Hecate. That's right. We have a special Hecate live chat for you guys. We are right on the heels of the Night of Hecate, which took place last night, but, kind of goes on for quite a while. So we are just in time. We have our girl Liesel is here. Susie says, Grand Rising, Liesel, and happy afternoon to you. Susie says it's 50 and sunny, but feels much colder somehow. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be, hopefully we can get up to 60 today. We've had some warmish days, I'd say, there was the snow that we had that was crazy. And then we went back to 70 degrees and now it's back to warmish. So that's good. Lisa says it's 52 here, but still feels cold too. It is a little chilly this morning, but the sun is out. So there we go. Sun back there. Peg, she says, hola peeps. Hello, hello. Good to see you as well. Peg says, yes, ma'am. It's a bit brisk and forecast fall is turning to winter. Oh, yeah. And Lisa says, hi, had to jump back in. Well, welcome. Okay, so what we have going on today, homies. So we will do our weekly reading as always, and that I always encourage others to chime in. I think that when we are incorporating the higher selves and intuition, of all of us, that it's such a much more well-rounded reading instead of just getting, information from my higher self. But, I encourage you to access that intuition in any way that suits you. Some of us will use tarot cards. Some of us are going to use runes or pendulums or just, accessing the straight intuition so that we can have some downloads and, whatever it may be. I encourage you to chime in on that. And anybody who's watching the replay, definitely read the chat because there's always a lot of good information and a lot of great guidance that is in the chat. For decks that I'm going to be working with, I have the Moonchild Tarot and I have the Divine Feminine Oracle. So I thought these two would pair really well, especially since we are going to be getting some messages from a goddess, which is Hecate. So she's known as goddess of the underworld, the crossroads, of the hounds, of the keys. Like she's got a whole ass title. So I have a few things here. So we will do the weekly reading, and then we're going to dive into messages from Hecate. And I have like a little process or ritual, if you will, that I have for that. So I have my little cauldron here and my goodies inside that we're going to be utilizing. So we'll get to that in a moment. But I do want to say hello to, first of all, my moderators. Love you guys. My subscribers, all the homies that hang out with us during our live chats, everybody who's watched and supported our videos, the donations that James and I have received for our channeling videos. And by the way, we have a subscriber requested channeling that is coming out tomorrow, 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And that is the channeling of the Titanic. So we actually had quite a few subscribers asking for a channeling of the Titanic. So it is coming out. Also for my YouTube members and my patrons, they had a vote for their exclusive channeling that they get. And they voted on mermaids. So for my patrons and my YouTube members, stay tuned. You will have a mermaid channeling coming out rather soon. But speaking of YouTube members and my patrons, I do want to give a shout out to them. So my YouTube members, Kayla, Nancy, Astrid, Jolene, and Stormy Fever 58. Thank you guys so much. And also to my patrons, Lily and Dana, Jamie, Kayla, Sarian, Brandy, Jason, Brian, Karen, Lisa, Palu, Crystal, Easy, Casey Gritter, also a new patron, and Sarah. So love you guys. Thank you so much for all of the support. Okay, so let's see. Janine says, hi, everyone. Tara, Lisa, Susie, hello, hello. Janine says, ironically, I have my Hecate key necklace on today. You be tapping in. That's awesome. Lisa says, I'm going to use the Golden Tarot and I may use my Avalon Oracle. Ooh, I love the Avalon Oracle. The version that I have is all in German. There was like 3 decks that I got from Germany, and one of them was the Avalon Oracle. But I love that deck so much. Susie says, you could be a mermaid with your beautiful hair. Well, thank you. If only it was as long as it used to be. It was like down past my butt. I think that was like, maybe I'll try to grow it out that long again. Kiki is here. Hello. Gracious greetings to you as well. Alrighty. Oh my gosh. I am so excited for this Hecate messages. But like I said, we'll do our weekly reading first. So Lisa, let us know what decks she's working with. If you guys are working with some decks, definitely let us know what you're using. I have my tea here today. Yes, in my Viper mug. This tea I created for Desert Cauldron, but it's also a personal tea blend of mine. And it's called my Heart Opener tea because it's meant to blast your heart wide open. So especially if you're going and doing a lot of deep shadow work and deep healing, which is also the reason why I wasn't here for last Sunday's live chat. Like I said, I want to dive into that. But I'm continuing to do some healing and some deep diving. So I'm continuing to drink my Heart Opener tea. So what it is, it's lavender and rose petals and organic cacao. And I have, let's see, chaga mushroom is also in here. And then I like to add a little extra, which is like vanilla bean and honey, just to give it a little bit of sweetness because it can be kind of bitter with the cacao. But for me, it's like my version of chocolate, which is a Aztecan and also Mayan type drink, but theirs is done a little bit different, but it's really centered around cacao bean. And so this is like my version of that for me personally. But since other people seem to have liked it, I have it on the shop. So if you're interested, like I said, that Desert Cauldron link is down below and you could see my Heart Opener tea. So I'm gonna have a little sip real quick before we get started with our weekly reading. Yes. So Janine, I will keep that in mind when we get to the Hecate messages. So we'll do our weekly reading first. We'll get to our Hecate messages, and then I'll definitely pull some messages for you as well. So I'll keep you in mind. And Lisa and Susie, if you don't mind, remembering that Janine needs personalized channeled messages from Hecate as well. So we will do that. And then afterwards, we will do our super chats and super stickers, and we will do our channeled guided meditation, our healing at the end. Okay, so I said that I wanted to dive into why. Why was I not here last Sunday, other than I had no voice, which, like I said, makes it really hard to have a live chat if I'm just up here doing sign language, like, you know. So James and I, of course, we're always doing our meditations every day. We're always doing our healings. And we had gotten some deep downloads. We'd been connecting to Mina. If you don't know who Mina is, you could definitely check out our channeling. It's in our playlist that we did with Mina. She lives out in India. She is a real girl, a real woman, I should say, who lives out in India. She's in her early 20s. And she's been working on also releasing ego, doing healing, and things like that. Currently, she is at about 9% ego. And there's a lot of things that are happening in her reality that looks a lot different than our reality at the moment. So when I connect with her, it's more on a telepathic basis than a channeled basis. I don't know. It's a little weird, a little hard to explain. Um, but in the past several weeks, she has not drinking any water. Like she hasn't drinking anything. She hasn't eaten anything. And she says she noticed that when she had stopped eating and she was just drinking water, that she had stopped using the bathroom. And she didn't quite understand all of that until she realized that she was just becoming pure energy, which means that she says that the physical body was just reacting to what her higher self was saying. And her higher self was like, you don't need to eat and drink and all of these things because those are all just bits of programming. You know, she had gotten to a point where that was easily understood. And so she says it was like she was taking the water and she was trying to put it to her lips, but she couldn't taste it. Like she's like, I know that I'm pouring water in my mouth, but I don't feel water in my mouth. I don't taste it. I don't feel it. It's not in me, you know? And she says, it's because I have become the water. I've become the food. So no longer do I need to ingest things that are outside of myself. And she says she started to notice that she was losing sensation in her skin. So she's like, I'm aware that I'm sitting on the ground because she is homeless. She does live on the streets in India. And she's like, and so I'm aware that the ground is below me. I'm aware that there's people around me. And she says, and sometimes when I like grab things or bump into things, I'm aware that I'm holding them. But she says, I'm losing really the sensation to like temperature, hot and cold. When I brush against people, sometimes I don't feel them. And she says she noticed that as she walks through the streets, most people aren't noticing her anymore. And she says, even when I bump into them, I don't notice them anymore. Or they don't notice her anymore. And she says, and it's because she noticed that she's at a different vibrational level, so that people that aren't at a very similar frequency or vibration aren't noticing her. Much like when we talk about spirits, you know, there are some people that say, oh, I've seen spirits, or, you know, I don't see spirits. And that's just because when a spirit can be in a vibrational alignment with you, then all of a sudden you see a spirit. But it's really that they're not someplace else. Everything is here. All the dimensions that we speak of, everything is right here. And it's all layered on top of each other. So like the spirit realm, 5D, 13D, whatever you can think of is all right here. And so Mina, although she is right here, her 3D world is starting to fade away and make room for something else. And so she says she is starting to fade away from people that can see her. And she says, and reality is starting to look, well, 3D reality is starting to look very different. And so when she speaks, she's sounding less and less like the Mina that we're used to. And more she's starting to sound like this, like, soul, you know. So at first James thought that she had passed away. He's like, did Mina pass away? But she's like, no, I'm here. But she says, I'm just in a different version of 3D. And she says, and 3D is starting to fade away. So I think she's actually very close to ascension. And what ascension is, she goes, ascension is not a place you go. Like they say, I leave the cube, I leave the matrix and I go somewhere. That's not it. It's everything starts to, that reality, the cube, the matrix, all of it starts to fade away to make room for the other reality that you vibrate with. And so when people talk about new earth, it's like, oh, we go here, or I'm going to 5D now. And it's here. You're just becoming a vibrational match for that reality. So it's like, I'm standing right here, but all of reality is always constantly and shifting and changing around me. And so she says she likens it to being at the center of like a lotus flower. She goes, I've always been at the center of the flower. And she says, and everything changes around me. So anyway, she had there was a lot more, but we're still processing that. So can't really share what I don't quite understand yet. So, but that I get what she's saying with all of that. And so, she was, gave James and I what we needed to know for our journey right now. So Mina's been holding back on us, but she's like, she says, I wanted to give you information that she has like a very deep connection with James, actually. But we're still working through that. So anyways, so that's the update on Mina. It was a lot of big stuff. So as I integrated it and James integrated it, when we have these huge downloads, we have to purge afterwards. And so it comes across like we're sick, but we're not sick. It's a purging of the body. So it appeared on the surface that James had a head cold all of a sudden after this mega healing that he did, when really it was his body purging. And it didn't last too long. It was a couple of days, of just like purge, snot and mucus, just purge, purge. And I was fine, so I was taking care of him. And then when he was all better, lo and behold, it was time for me to purge, because he was worried, or not worried, but he was wondering, how come we got the same information, but I'm purging, but you're not purging? And I was like, well, maybe I don't need to purge. Well, no, once he was better, it was my turn. I purged for a couple of days. In that, his purging was here in the sinuses, which were directly related to the five senses. You think of your sinuses, your eyes are affected, your nose was a smell, taste, hearing is affected, touch, feeling, all of that's affected. So for him, it was a purging of understanding the five senses. Me, it was a purging in understanding my weakest chakra, which is my throat chakra. And that might sound weird to you guys because I talk for a living. I've talked for a living for a very long time, as a teacher, as a coach, now, as a person who channels and helps people. I do a lot of talking, but when it comes to speaking my truth, and there's a lot of healing and past healing that needs to be worked on with that. So when I purge, it's always in my throat. And so I had lost my voice so that I could work on that. And it was only for a couple of days. And I went in and asked my higher self, how come we didn't purge at the same time? And they said, because when I'm taking care of somebody else, I'm 100% in my heart chakra, and I'm in my higher self. I'm grounded. I'm all just intuition, and I want to, and I intuit what's best for that person while I help that person. James does the same thing. When we're ill, however, or purging, we are in our body, our 3D body. We feel it. We feel every symptom. We feel everything. So we're very grounded in the 3D. So they said, my higher self said, if we were purging at the same time, it wouldn't help for us to both be fully in our 3D bodies. We wouldn't be of any help to each other, because how can I help somebody if I'm fully in my ego trying to help somebody else? It doesn't quite work. So they needed one of us to be in our heart space, in our higher self, while the other one was purging and in their 3D body. And then we flip-flop, so that way we could get all the help we needed while, one of us is in our intuition and helping the other. And so once we had integrated everything, we were fine. So it's not it had nothing to do with what the 3D world would have us believe about viruses and illnesses. It was all purging. And I knew that once I had integrated it, I'd feel better. And lo and behold, the next day I was like, ta-da, back to me. But I was literally right in the middle of that purge. Like, first day of that purge was on Sunday. So there was no way I could do the live chat. I was like fully in my 3D body, fully in my ego, fully in the, I can't talk, my throat. But I tried to meditate, and I just worked on my healing and integrating at that time. So I thank you guys for being patient with that and allowing us to kind of work through that. But like I said, we've been doing lots and more healing, and lots more has come up since then. So yay. No, it's a good thing. And I'm glad that we are going to be doing these messages from Hecate as well, because she represents diving deep. She represents going into the underworld, which would be symbolic of going in ourselves, into the deepest, darkest parts of ourselves, the parts that we don't want to look at, the parts that we cover in shadow. And we say it's too uncomfortable or it's too hard. But, she is fearless because she represents the part of us that is fearless. That's the higher self that says, hey, I got this light. Let's shed some light on this stuff instead of keeping it hidden so that it could show up in our reality unconsciously, with the people that we meet, the situations, places we find ourselves in. Let's actually shed some light on these things, heal it so that we are more clear and conscious in who we like to hang out with, the situations we find ourselves in, and the decisions that we make in our everyday lives. So that's why I like Hecate. Yes, I do consider her a goddess, but as with everything, I say everything is one. So she is me. You are her. She is me. It's a symbiotic relationship. We are all these aspects. I'm you guys. You are me. So, yeah, it's a journey. I dig it. Okay. On that note, let's sling some cards for this weekly reading, and let's get to our girl Hecate. All right, Mirna is here. Hello, hello. Susie says such a beautiful understanding. Thank you. She says we love you, Tara and James. We love you too. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. And thank you for everybody who sent us well wishes and sent us healing. We did feel it. We do appreciate it. But yeah, we're continuing this purging. And what's been nice is no longer will we have cold winters, at least inside the tin can, which is our home. I got one of those ginormous Mr. Heater. It can be a wall mounted unit, but I put the little feeties on it so we could stand it. But it's a Mr. Heater 30,000 BTU radiant heat heater. And let me tell you, that baby heats up the place really fast. So I don't even think we need to use a whole lot of propane with it. I bought one of those 60-pound propane tanks to stick outside so that we can run the heater, and we don't have to run it for that long. You run it for 15 minutes. I'm burning up in there, and we only have it like on level 1 or level 2, and it goes to level 5. I think level 5 is if you want it to be like 120 degrees in your home. And so I don't know what kind of lizard person would have it turned up that high. But I'm okay with like 1 or 2, which brings it to about like 70, 80 degrees in there. So yeah, we have gone through some pretty deep winters here. Like our very first winter here, it was like 4 degrees. We had almost knee-high snow. It lasted till about March, April. It was still snowing. It was a really, really hard winter, and we had absolutely no heat at all. We just wrapped ourselves in blankets and we just shivered all winter. Everybody here, I think, found out that we had some metal, about us. We're pretty hardcore if we could withstand that kind of winter without heat. And then, I guess we had snow, I guess, last year, but it was a lot more mild. But we're ready, baby. I got Mr. Heater. We're ready. All right. Let's see. So Susie was slanging some cards, and she said card two is the powerful space between opposite poles. And she says, Tara, you should contact Jackery for a sponsorship. I think they would sponsor you. It is a generator with solar panels. Ooh, well, I'll definitely check that out for sure. Let me just there we go. Plug in the phone. Time to plug her in. Okay, so let me grab. And you guys go ahead and continue to pull some cards. Continue to let us know what messages you're getting for this upcoming week. Susie said that is wonderful news. I'm so excited. It's like I was a little chilly last night, but I just wrapped myself in blankets. I was fine. And James is like, we could turn on the heater. And I was like, oh shit, we could turn on the heater. And we did, and it was glorious. So yeah, I did a little post on my Instagram at Kittens, Weights, and Tarot, and James and I's Instagram at AZ Off Grid for all like our off gridding adventures, and I was letting everybody know that I put that bad boy together. So I was like, this is gonna be a hot, hot winter. I can't wait. I don't care how much snow is on the ground outside. We could go outside, play in the snow, come back and be warm. And we're gonna put it where we had our wood burning stove, and I think we're gonna store the wood burning stove for when we build our hogan, which is a Diné or Navajo dwelling, like an old school dwelling, and we want to put like the wood burning stove in the middle. So we're gonna build it where Anna's house used to be, and actually I am seated not too far from Anna's grave. So all right, Susie says, ooh, hot cocoa too. Ooh, you know what we had the other night? Hot chocolate. We have some Mexican hot chocolate. I mixed a little bit of abuelita's hot chocolate with a little bit of James's sister's hot chocolate concoction that she made for us for Christmas. Okay, so let's pull these cards. 1, 2, and let's pull one more. 3. And you know what? Let's pull a card from the Divine Feminine. I think that would be good. Just feeling the Divine Feminine energy, Jane the Seeker, hello, hello. How are you? Happy Sunday. Okay. You know what would be great is if the sun could heat up my hands. I'm like, am I shuffling cards? I can't feel them. Okay, so from the Divine Feminine Oracle, I have Catherine Labore, the patroness of miraculous healing. I am ready to heal. I am worthy of the miracles meant for me. Interesting that I was talking about healing. We were talking about purging, physical healing, but also that energetic healing. And so let's dive into this. Okay, so what I'm getting is with the healing that we're all doing, I know that we all heal in different ways. I know that we all do our shadow work and our inner work in different ways. But what this person, this energy is reminding us of is that when we go backwards into our past, whether it's in this particular timeline, lifetime, or it's in a past lifetime, when we come across things that we deem good or bad, like let's say we did something in our past and we deem it as bad. I was a bad person. I did something bad, or I feel like I hurt someone in this way. What we have to realize is that outside of all these energies I've ever connected to, in all of these channelings, they've never looked at us with, you've been a good person or you've been a bad person. To them, there is no such thing as good and bad. To them, everything is just a situation for learning. And I don't care if I've, spoken to a negative polarity being or a positive polarity being or neutral or what it is. They look at every situation as just a situation. If you want to give it a label and say that situation was good or that situation is bad, that's totally up to you. But just know that there's a particular mindset when we give it those labels. So let's say I look into my past and I look at something that I did and I say, that was bad. You're a really bad person. It might be more difficult, or I might make it more difficult for myself to heal and to do the whole gratitude and forgiveness and learning the lesson if it has that label of bad, because I might continue to look down on myself like there's going to be karma for you. You're going to be punished for this. But remember that it's just a situation. All other beings, they would just look at it as a situation for learning. Okay, maybe I might label it as bad, but let's just look at this situation. What were you meant to learn? Why were those people in your reality? Why were you in their reality? What can we take from this situation and, heal it so that we can do something different here in the present? Because if we have this notion of that was bad, I'm probably not as likely to want to fully heal, because in some subconscious way, I want to continue to punish myself in the present for something that happened in the past. And thus we continue this cycle moving forward of, I have these things I don't want to look at, or these things I don't want to fully heal because I feel I got to be punished in some way. I have to, make amends for this thing. But making amends is really looking at it as a situation. What were you meant to learn? Whether we say it's good or bad, what were you truly meant to learn? And remember that anybody else that was involved in that situation, their energy was brought in to grow from. And so we just got to keep that in mind, that as you guys move through this week and you move through your healing, if you do come across something that you feel really bad about, try to come back into the heart space, see it from your multidimensional self, which doesn't have any judgment of good or bad. Good or bad is a matrix concept, and it's there in order to prevent us from fully doing our healing, so that we go towards the things of like, oh, I'm a good girl and boy, or oh, I've been a bad girl or boy, so therefore I got to be punished, or I have to be rewarded in this way. It all just is. It all just is situations. So let's learn from the situation. If you're a positive polarity or negative polarity, you're probably going to move towards things that are more in alignment with your polarity. But let's look at those polarities. Let's find out what polarity we even are by looking at this healing. So just a little reminder that you are worthy of that healing, because you are a multidimensional being that came here to learn something. We didn't come here to punish ourselves. I know that we talk about free will violations, which there was something that we learned about that too. We committed those violations on purpose. We knew exactly what would happen, but we did it on purpose for learning. And everything that was violated, they wanted to learn too. So it was a co-creation. So it wasn't, I committed a free will violation and they didn't want it to have happened to them. So they were like, no, we know we're going to have a violation committed against us, but we want that for our learning. And I wanted to commit a violation against them because I wanted that for my learning. So I sent an aspect of myself here into the 3D cube, because the only way you can come here is if you are of a certain frequency. And what I learned of every being, if things could be quantified, which everything is infinite, but if they could be quantified, only 10% of beings in Source's energy ever come here. And that's because here is some really intense learning, but we're the mavericks. We're up for it. So we decided, I want to commit a violation on purpose because I know it's going to help me in my journey, in my healing, in my ascension, in the other dimensions that I'm in, as well as ascending out of here once I've learned everything that I want to learn. And so we send ourselves here, again, not as a punishment. I guess, we could look at this as a school, as a prison, as all these things, but we came here on purpose. We wanted to come here. This was of our own free will. And so we come here, we learn, however long that takes, time doesn't really exist. And then we ascend back out. We go back to, where we were. So you are worthy of all the healing, because it's all just a learning experience. So why place judgment on anything we've done? Instead, look at it from the higher perspective. What was the lesson? Show gratitude. Thank everyone involved. Send them healing. Send yourself healing. Show love to yourself. Transmute it. Let's move on. All right. Let's see. Got some good stuff going on here. Janine says, if you don't have the guidebook meaning for yours, it's Archangel Oracle website. Oh, you guys talking about some of the cards. Susie says that works with the card I drew. Ah, yes. And Jane says, I feel that words hold a vibration. I try to choose my words wisely. They do. Everything, literally everything is energy. My hair is energy. My physical body is energy. My words that I speak are energy. My thoughts are energy. Everything is literally energy. So yes, the more we can be conscious of everything that we do, say, think, which means having a good understanding of everything in ourselves, our light and our shadow, the more clear we can be in our intentions. Very, very good. And then our friend William would like to offer up a prayer. Yes, definitely. We would encourage that. Lovely. And as Susie said, yes, I do a guided meditation at the end. So you're welcome to do that as well. But sure, if you would like to do a prayer, that would be beautiful. And Susie said, Maverick. Yes, to all of the Mavericks here. That includes plant, animal, mineral, elements, human, all of it. We're all the Mavericks. So excellent. Okay. Now, those other 3 cards that I pulled for this upcoming week, we have the moon, and that's right, babies. We had that beaver moon, that full moon in Taurus not too long ago, just a couple of days ago. We also have the 10 of Cups, and we have the 4 of Swords. All right, so I do feel that this is a slow moving week. So maybe the outside world might be moving more fast-paced. Of course, maybe the things that we have to do might be more fast-paced. But when it comes to taking time out for ourselves and honoring our energy and the things that we're moving through, like with our healing, maybe you have some purging to do. Maybe it comes out in the form of a sickness. Maybe it comes out in a different form. But really take time for that. That's something that I had to keep in mind because for some reason, it's probably a programming that I have, which I do have to go in and heal, is I want to do the opposite of sit and rest when I don't feel well. When I don't feel well is when I decide that I'm going to go destroy my body and like I'm going to go do all the things that I want to do. Maybe I'll go install some shelves. Maybe I'll go do this chore or that chore, and I just want to be busy, busy, busy. And I think I know what it is. I think it's just distracting from the fact that I have to purge, and that I should allow myself to purge. And it's, I don't know, it's a shadow I got to work through, which I will, So, these things come up. That's good. So, just remembering to honor that. So if you are going through a healing process in whatever form that may look like, or a purging process, whatever form that may look like, allow yourself that time to rest this week. The world, it will just keep on going. It's okay. You don't have to shoulder the entire world like Atlas on your shoulders. Everything will continue on as it should. Allow people to continue on as they should, and allow yourself the time that it needs. Your body will continue to let you know if it needs more rest. Literally, your body always lets you know when it's time to rest. Either it will give you the sniffles, you'll break your arm, you'll stub your toe, but the body's always letting you know when there's something that is out of balance and you need to rest. It'll come out in that way. But we don't have to have it in that way. We could, of course, have a more clear relationship with our higher selves. But since we're not fully our higher selves yet, we listen to our bodies as well. So listen to your body. Listen to your body this week. Be gentle. That's the message this week is be a little bit more slow moving. I guess energetically, we don't have to physically be slow, but just energetically, really listen to what your body is saying and try to understand what the body is trying to say. So if your body's like, I got the sniffles, I got to do this, this, and this, instead of just caring for the symptom, what are the sniffles trying to tell you? If you have a head in 3D, I got a headache because there was a weird smell and that always gives me a headache. Okay, that's the symptom, but what's the true cause? So listen to your bodies this week. Be gentle with yourselves this week. And you are deserving of healing because that's why you came here in the first place, was to heal. So just keep that in mind. Oh, William says, could you say a prayer for me? I'm sick, thanks. Yes, yes, we definitely will. Of course, my friend. Um, and Susie says, bring peace into troubled waters. That is the third card that she drew for us. Beautiful. Liesel drew Mists of Avalon card. It's very much moon card energy as well. Wow, deep diving, going inwards. Susie says the moon was crazy looking last night. James looked at the moon through his brand new scope. And yeah, he says it like absolutely did not look real. Wow. Yeah, it was intense, very bright. Susie's sending William some healing, love, and for a speedy recovery. Wonderful, wonderful. Susie says, James, I agree that the moon looked absolutely fake. All righty. So let me have a little bit more sip and let's get into these Hecate messages. And the first message, of course, we'll pull is for our friend Janine, who so graciously donated for the Hecate message. But I want to show you guys a little something that I do for Hecate. So I have my little cauldron here. Maybe I'll like pull this down so you guys can see. Janine says, Jane the Seeker Tarot 6, shock of the unconventional, strangely beautiful and unexpected liberation, stepping into your life, creating the stage upon which you will experience greater fulfillment. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so let me put my little teeny down here. Okay, got my little charcoals, and I have the candle that I actually created. I made these on my Patreon live chat tier. So if you're part of the live chat tier, you'll see when we made these sand candles. Basically, I made them with the dirt around here, and I made a little cauldron. I melted one of the legs, but I used this on Samhain. And we're going to use it again, actually, for this, because I want to light the charcoal. You know what I forgot? I forgot my tongs. Oh, well. The tongs to hold this, they're up in the where I keep all my candle stuff in those cabinets. It's near the ledge. Anyway, we'll pull out this and we're going to light this baby because I have some incense to use. Okay, so I have this, I call this my Hecate incense. And actually, if you go to our Desert Cauldron shop, I have my Hecate incense and it comes just like this. You get a key, which this is a vintage key from the very, very early 1900s, like 1902. And there is some writing on there. What the heck does it say? It says, oh, it's so rusted and faded. You can't really see. But anyway, this is a really old key. So I am very limited in these old keys because obviously it's not like I could keep going back to 1902 and getting all of these keys. But I was able to come across some cool like vintage keys. So I have this and it comes with your little Hecate blend. So this is not a like smoking blend because this does have resin in it. In fact, it has dragon's blood. I wouldn't recommend smoking dragon's blood, but you can use this as an incense. You can use this as an offering if you wish. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use it as an incense blend today. Oh, thank you. And now we have our tongs. So we're going to light up our charcoal. I'm going to put this on it so we can get some of that incense blend smoke going. And we'll pull some of those cards. We're going to tap into Hecate's energy with that. So this is a little bit of an offering for her energy, but also understanding that she is me. We are Hecate. We are all of these things, all as one. And so I would like to tap into that Hecate version of myself, that intuitive part of myself, that other fragment intuitive part of myself, to tap into those messages. And so Susie, yes, we will also pull some messages for you as well. Okay, so let's light her up. So what I'm going to do is light the candle because it makes it easier to light the charcoal. All righty. We got a flame going. Now let's get the charcoal going. It was so intense that it put out the flame. Burn, baby, burn. Charcoal inferno. So just letting it, I guess you guys can see it, yeah? Just trying to get this thing as charcoaly hot as possible, and then I will move my candle because I don't wish to have it melt down the rest of the way. You guys hear the snap, crackle, pop? Ah. Hey, Silver Star Priestess is here. What up, Heather? You were just in time for some witchy shit. All right, I think this charcoal is getting pretty hot. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, a little bit more toasting and then we'll put out this candle. Whew, the heat feels nice on my hands. Ah, Susie says, so glad you made it, Heather. Okay, so I will now move this candle. I'll put that right there. I guess I could put the candle off to the side. That should be no problem. Okay. And so, I'll put this here. There we go. And we're going to put a little bit of our incense. All right, Silver Star. Yes, I will also be pulling some Hecate messages for you as well. Coven of Curiosity. Hello, hello. Hope you are having a beautiful morning as well. Okay, so I'm just tapping a little bit of this incense onto my charcoal. Like I said, I pulled this from Desert Cauldron Shop. So you would get a little vial just like this. And I'm going to hold the key as we do a little meditation. Okay. So I'm going to hold the key. And if you guys would like, we could all do this together. I guess I could put this back here. All right. So if you guys want to get into a grounded space as I continue to connect to this key, connecting to the key within, which is our intuition, connecting to Hecate within, being reminded that there is nothing to fear in the shadows, that it is the energy of fear that prevents us from truly seeing ourselves in our fullest, wholest nature. And that if there is fear, we could always dive into it and find out where that fear is coming from. And we heal it and we empower ourselves. And as they say, nothing to fear except fear itself. My gosh, it smells so good, by the way. So it's got lavender and dragon's blood and a few other herbs mixed in. Okay. All right. So I'm going to place the key in here. I guess I should continue to have the blend here so that we can continue to add more as needed. And let's pull those cards. So Susie, if you don't mind letting me know who our message lineup is. I believe it was our friend Janine, and then you, and I think our friend Heather, but correct me if I'm wrong. Astrid is here. She said hello to everyone. I just came back home from the Opera House where I had some rehearsals, and finally I'm able to be with you all live. Dude, how was the Opera House? Let us know for sure. Susie says, thank you, Hecate and Tara. Okay, so yes, it'll be Janine, Susie, and Heather. Excellent. Just continuing to put some more incense on there. Okay. Let's use our Divine Feminine Oracle for these messages. All right, so we have our friend Janine first. Hey, Lady Miss Squirrel Jr. James came out and fed all of our friends. Squirrelies and birdies and chipmunks, all of their friends in between. Okay. All right, Janine. You have Yamoja, the goddess of all that flows. I am an ocean of creative energy. I give birth to what exists within me. All right. So let me just dive into the aspect that is all of us, which is Hecate. Fearing not as we enter into the shadows of ourselves, finding light in our shadows and shadows in our light, finding a wholeness within ourselves. So Janine, this is diving into the shadow of self-confidence and understanding that whenever you have second-guessed yourself, or you said that I would rather have somebody else do X, Y, and Z because I'm not so good at it, or I've never been good at it. It's like the story we tell ourselves when you say, I've never been good at math, I've never liked math, I've never been good at it, or I've never been good at science, I've never liked science, I've never been good at it. I could never see myself building a home, I don't know how, I've never been good with that kind of stuff. But that's continuing to run that program. Remember, Janine, that you are multidimensional, that when you shed this physical form, when you shed this body, you are a 100% soul. And sure, for right now, you are inhabiting a vessel. That vessel has an ego. The ego is not your enemy, but the ego will show you exactly what needs to be healed, where your blockages are. So a multidimensional soul, if you were to say, hey, multidimensional soul, are you good at math? It says, of course I am, because I am everything. I am everyone and everything. I am source. If I need the answer, I tap into the frequency that is the answer. I bring it down. If I say, Janine, could you build a home? The soul that is Janine would say, of course I could build a home, because I know I can tap into all the frequencies, all the answers. I bring it down. I would build a home. The 3D body, the ego body, doesn't understand that. It says, I've never been taught how to build a home, so therefore I can't build a home. All I know is my past, and in my past, I was never good at science. Excuse me. I was never good at math. Therefore, I would like to repeat that into my present, because if something were to change and if something were different, that would be very scary for me. And that's what the ego says. Remember, the ego is not the enemy. Instead, the ego is going to show us where we need to heal. So if you come upon something in your confidence that you say, I've never been good at, I never will be good at, my brain just doesn't work that way. Know that that's the ego speaking from a place of fear, because it's afraid that what if you could be good at that? It would totally erase all of its programming. It would negate your past. So next time you hear that coming up, I've never been good at XYZ. I never will be good at. My brain just doesn't work that way. Know that that's the ego calling out for healing. It's showing you exactly where you need to heal. Let's take the mathematics for example. We'll just say that for example's sake. I've never been good at math. My brain doesn't work that way. I never will be good at math. You say, thank you, ego, for showing me exactly where I need to heal. What is it about mathematics that causes me to have so much fear? That causes me to feel a lack of self-confidence? That causes me to feel non-intelligent or incapable of something? That multidimensional you will help to shed light on where exactly that's stemming from. And so in essence, you have utilized the ego as a tool to show you where you can go in, find out where that program is stemming from, heal that program, start to reprogram it, come back to the present. All of a sudden, all those blockages that you used to have saying, I can't do this, I've never been good at math, starts to change. Your reality starts to change. So this is just a reminder for you to really look into your self-confidence. Anywhere where you have felt less than, incapable, this is a wonderful healing journey for you, not only this week, but I feel like throughout winter, moving forward. And this could be something that you've already been working on, but Hecate, that portion of you, is saying that is a huge shadow to look at, because it has its little fingers in basically everything that you do. The people that you hang out, the situations that you encounter are all centered around what you believe you are capable and incapable of. And so if you can start to really look at that, if you really can start to heal that, you'll notice that your reality does start to change. What you thought was impossible for you starts to become possible. And that is where you start to build your confidence. And then you start to have the confidence to try things that you've never tried before, because it seems less scary. Why be afraid when I know that I can go back and heal anything at any time, because I have that power? So I hope this makes sense to you. Thank you so much, Janine, for allowing me to pull a card for you, for allowing Hecate to bring this message down for you. All right, we're going to do a little re-up here. And this will be for our friend Susie. And let me see if I can see here. Astrid says, we are preparing premiere of The Black Mask by Penderecki. It's quite a difficult music to digest, but Sir David Pontenay, who's a director, did a great job. So hopefully it will be a big event. That sounds awesome. I will look into it. I will look into The Black Mask. Sukhbir, right now we are doing messages from Hecate. If that is something that you would like, we could definitely do that. And Susie says, Janine, I view you as very strong, like the strength card. Yes. Oh, Roots and Waves is here as well. Hello, hello. And Coven of Curiosity is just waving to everybody in the chat. Hello, skis. All right. So Susie, I believe we have a card for you as well. Okay. So Susie, let's stoke the fire a little. Add a little bit more incense for Susie. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Smoke it up. Woo! Get her done. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. Oh, I love my incense burns. I like to toot my own horn. Okay, Susie, here we go. Janine said, thank you. Interesting perspective and way of looking at it, trying to approach things. All right, excellent. Okay, Susie, let's go into the shadows, Susie. Let's do it. We got that key. We unlock it all. Ooh, we have Saint Bridget. And do you know that I was almost a Bridget before my father wrote my name, Tara, on my birth certificate, but I was almost Bridget. Okay, Our Lady of, excuse me, exalted light, I give endlessly because the light is without end. My soul is all I need. Okay. So let's dive into what Hecate is going to bring forth in the shadows for our friend Susie. Worth. Self-worth is in the shadows. So it's a little bit like we were talking about with our friend Janine about confidence, but this is more about worth. And this could be stemming from past life. It does feel like it is past life, and it's just been repeated here in this present life. But in this life, when you were very young, looking at your role models, your parents, society, people around you, and although I don't believe this programming was maliciously ingrained into you. Oftentimes, our parents and our society do things subconsciously. It's just, we were taught this, and so we pass it on to you. And so you were surrounded by others that didn't understand their self-worth. And so they pass that on to you. And what self-worth is feeling like you are, when we have a lack of self-worth, that you are somehow separate from everyone and everything. That there's everyone else and then there's me. And that everyone else is deserving of this. They deserve second chances. They deserve to heal. They deserve my compassion. They deserve love. If somebody makes a mistake, they deserve to try again. But when it comes to me, I feel like I'm separate. Like, I need to come down harder on myself. If I've messed up, man, I've messed up. I really got to get down on myself. I really got to punish myself for doing that. But if that were anybody else but you would have said, hey, you messed up. It's okay. Let's try again. Let's work together. But the people around you didn't see themselves as a part of the whole. So they berated themselves. And oftentimes children pick things up energetically. So it isn't even always what our parents say, but we look at their energy and we look at their actions. And if their actions are showing that there's me and then there's everybody else, and I'm separate from that, it makes things more difficult, especially when it comes to our own learning and our own healing. We decide everybody else is good at this, but me, no. I'm not good at it. If they've messed up, that's okay. But me, when I mess up, that is so not okay. And I have to live with replaying all the things that I think are negative about myself over and over again, because I need to keep myself in that low self-worth state. Now, is this conscious? Of course it's not. This is all subconscious. That's why Hecate is here. This is why it's in our shadows. And again, when we're looking at these shadows, it's not to come down on ourselves and be like, man, that's something about myself. I feel bad that that's something about myself. That's not it at all. Remember that we chose to be here because we wanted to learn. And so this is all just a learning experience. Remember, there is no good and there is no bad. It just is. And so if we recognize that, you know what, this is just a situation. This just is something that I struggle with. Okay, so now let's figure out why you struggle with that. If you struggle with the self-worth, that you see yourself as separate from everybody else, that somehow that there are rules that are different for you than there is for everybody else, then we need to figure out where that's actually coming from. And sure, when you go backwards in your healing, you might find it could be stemming from the people that surrounded you. It could be stemming from mom and dad, which it kind of feels like it is. But it's also stemming from past life stuff. So we just keep going backwards and backwards and backwards until we find the root cause. What started this whole chain reaction in the first place? And that's the most empowering thing that you could do. So when you go backwards and you find that root cause, see it for what it is. It's not good. It's not bad. It was just a situation. And I've carried it for a really long time. Again, that's not good or bad either. It just is. No need to berate yourself for saying, oh man, I've carried it for all these lifetimes, because that's the self-worth trying to keep you in a low self-worth, trying to keep its programming. It's going to fight to keep its programming because it doesn't know anything else. It's not evil. It's not bad. It just is. That's part of its programming. That's just what it does. And so it's going to do everything in its power to keep its programming. But you are the master programmer. You are the center of everything. Like Mina said, you are at the center of that lotus flower. And everything exists around you because it is you. So we go backwards, we heal it, we find out where that self-worth issue came from, and we work on it. And you start to notice that your reality starts to change. You start to surround yourself with people that are in that very similar vibration, which puts you in a different mindset. Your vibration continues to change. Again, your environment continues to change. You are afforded more opportunities that will test that self-worth so that you continue to show yourself that you are worthy and that you are healing. And that's where we really take back our power, I feel. So hopefully this makes sense to you. Oh, wow, more friends coming in. Hello, hello. Susie says, recapitulation time. Yes. She says, I will save this video too. You are very, very welcome. All right, we have our friend Heather, Sukbir, and Coven of Curiosity. All righty. So glad you guys are willing to jump into these shadows. I know it's not easy. If it were easy, they would probably teach it in school. But yeah, actually they don't teach it in school because they know how powerful that kind of stuff is, and we need to self-empower. And that's what our healing journey is. Okay, I'm just tapping my little charcoal here. Get some of that soot off. All right, so we have our friend Heather. Susie, you are amazing. Thank you, thank you. Hey, John, what's up? All right, Heather, let's pull a card for you. And yes, we have our friend Sukbir afterwards, and then Coven of Curiosity. Yes, so John, we are doing messages from Hecate. If you would like to do a super chat, super sticker, we can definitely do that. Palu, hello. This is all the way from Korea. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. All right, so Heather, ooh. Heather's got the smoke going on. Okay, Heather, let's see. Let's dive into the shadows, my friend. All right, Lucy is here. Hello, hello. All right, our buddy John, thank you. We'll definitely pull a message from Hecate for you. We are diving into the shadows. Welcome to the Shadowlands. All right, Heather. Hey, we have Green Tara. The Buddha of enlightened action. My soul informs my every step. I do what my heart compels me to do. All right, so let's dive into this. The past. Actually, it's the notion of the past that is the shadow. So it's not really specifically certain things of the past, but just the past itself. And so as we dive into that, it feels like when you look at certain times in your life, like you say, when I was 12, when I was 13, when I was 15, there were all these things that were going on in my life. And when you look back on this past, you say that was a very dark time for myself, or it was very difficult for myself. And so again, this is programming. It's just things that we're learning. Again, it's not good or bad. It's just something that we picked up, something that we learned. And you had learned to shut away the past. And although, yes, I know that you've been doing a lot of healing, you've been going through different aspects and different layers of yourself. But as a whole, when we say my past, there is a sense of darkness that surrounds it. When you say my past me, and like I said, yes, you have been doing a ton of healing, but when you look at past Heather, it seems like it's just cloaked in this darkness of like, it was so dark, it was difficult, it was hard for me. And that's a part of the self that would keep you in a state of feeling like almost inadequacy. That me here in the present, even though I know that I'm not a quote unquote broken person, there's that little thing in the subconscious in the back of your mind that is telling you I am broken somehow, that my past is darker than most, that there were some really bad things that happened. And yes, there were difficult things. I hate to use the word bad, because again, things were neither good nor bad. They were just things that happened. And so if you do see that it's cloaked in some sort of darkness, that it weighs heavily on you, realize that it's being given a label by the ego, because the ego, it only knows labels. It has to label everything because that's how it identifies its world and that's how it understands its world. It's neither good nor bad, but it has labeled your past as dark, as heavy, as it was difficult. So when you go to heal, it ends up making the healing process more difficult because you go into it saying it's difficult, it's dark, it's heavy. And so it makes it that much harder to look at certain things and to heal from certain things. So that is something to actually look at and to go backwards into. Why does the past need to have an energy of dark, heavy, difficult? Where is that stemming from by labeling it dark, heavy, difficult? Where does that actually come from? And it could be from programming from your parents. It could be programming from the world that you grew up in, but it could also be coming from past life as well. That whenever we look back at something, that it's somehow worse than where I am now, that it's always steeped in darkness. Why is that? And if we can look at it without label of good or bad, or dark or light, that what it just is, we can see with more clarity and with more ease where that point of time of that label of dark, heavy, bad came from, so that we can start to take away that layer that surrounds our past, so that we could just see the past as just that. It's just the past. It's just a bunch of things that happened in my past. And I'm working through those things because they're neither good nor bad. They're just things that I want to work on to heal, because I want to have more clarity in my present, because I want to grow and I want to expand in consciousness in my present. And I'm worthy of all those things. And I'm confident that I can do those things. So again, this is actually just going back and looking into whatever it was that caused you to look at the past as some kind of darkness, a heaviness, if it were. So it's more an energy than it is like a thing. You know, sometimes we might feel like bad about a particular thing, or say this particular thing needs healing, but this is the energy of the entire past itself, looking at it with heaviness. And so it's just going back to that. Why is it being labeled in that way? So I hope that I hope this makes sense to you. And wow, I thank you guys for your willingness to dive into these shadows. And what I love about doing these in the live chats is because oftentimes, even though we're pulling cards for other people, the messages resonate with all of us, because all is one, right? We all have. You guys are all just different aspects of me, and I'm a different aspect of you. And so, I think it's very beneficial. So for the people that are allowing these messages to be put out there for everybody else. I find that to be very brave and beautiful. So I thank you for helping others in that way. Okay, let's see. So we had our friend Sukbir that also we're going to do a little message from Hecate, as we were not doing the financial advice at this time. It's Hecate's messages at this time. And then we have our friend Coven of Curiosity. We'll definitely dive into that. And our buddy John, for sure. All right. So Sukbir, let's give you a little bit more incense so we can tap into Hecate's energy for you. What you need to know at this time as it pertains to your shadows. So again, thank you for everybody who's diving into the shadows. All righty. Okay. Here we go. Sukbir, diving into a shadow, shedding light, bringing out the key. Let's unlock that door. There's nothing to fear. It's just another aspect of ourselves. And sure, sometimes we get that aspect locked away, but no need to keep it locked away because we don't have anything to fear of that aspect of ourselves. It's all for learning. It's all for growth. All right. So Tara Lynn is Coven of Curiosity, and then we have our buddy John afterwards. Ooh. And Hedwana is for our friend Sukbir. The High Priestess, I am one with my soul. My soul is a legacy of love. Okay. So again, remember that shadows, it's just like if we were looking into our light self. It's just a different version of ourself. So I don't place any bad. When I talk about negative polarity, positive polarity, I don't say one polarity is better than the other because it's just all perspective. So if I'm a positive polarity, I would look at negative polarity as bad, but that's my perspective. And it doesn't mean that it's actual truth. The negative polarity would look at me as bad because I'm positive polarity, but it's just perspective. So I'd rather not use the words as good and bad. And the reason I bring that up is because when we dive into your shadow, going inwards, it's you putting a lot of power outside of yourself, that you see the inner you, what you're capable of. You say, well, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, I'm capable of this. But really, what truly needs to change, and this is the programming, what truly needs to change is the outside world. If the outside world changes, then I change and I feel better. But that's a programming. If all is one and you are the financial system, you are the people around you, you are whatever leader is in charge of the world, you are the wars, you are the peace, you are everything, then it is not things outside of ourselves that need to change first, because we have created that reality for ourselves. Just like with Mina, is she in 3D? Yes, barely. But her world is starting to vibrate away from her. It's dissolving to create something new surrounding her. So that means that she had created that entire reality and all of the people that were in it. So for your reality, you have created your whole reality. All of the people, all of your experiences, whether you give them labels as good and bad, whatever it may be, you brought those experiences to you because of how powerful you are. You created a particular financial system that you are interested in because of how powerful you are. All of the ups and downs in your life, all of the ups and downs of that financial system, you have created. And so when you look outside the self and say, well, when that thing does better, then I feel better, you are using your sovereignty to give your sovereignty away, if that makes sense. So you're saying that I have no power, I have no control, And that is the reinforcement of that program, that I am at the whims of the leader of a country. I am at the whims of a financial system. I am at the whims of the people that surround me, and I have no power over them. I have no control. And true, we have no power over people, but we do have power over our reality. And that means the people in it. So if I would like different people in my reality, if I would like a different relationship with money or finances, then I have to change what's inside of me first. Because I, being the powerful being that I am creating everything around me. And so this is just a reminder that you are the creator. You created everything in your world, in your reality. And yes, everything is a mirror for you. All the gods, goddesses, higher powers, whatever you might want to call it, the people in your reality, the plants, the animals, you've created all of it to teach you something, because we all decided to come here for a reason. We all wanted to learn something. So we created these individual realities and the people in it so that we could learn. And when you go backwards, and if this is something that the ego is struggling with, because it will, I guarantee you the ego right now is like, wait, what? I don't create my reality. I would never do this to myself or that to myself, but it did. And if you did, that means that you can create something different. And so instead of looking at things as bad and why would I do that to myself? Why would I bring that situation to myself? Let's learn. Let's find the lesson. Let's show love and gratitude for it. Let's transmute it, and let's do something different. That's the more empowering, instead of I'm here and the world is around me, and when the world changes, then I feel better. That's a very disempowered, it's a slower way of working through things. And that's all, there's learning in that too. I'm not saying that's a bad way of doing things. There's learning in that too. And if that's the way you want to learn, at least be conscious that that's the way you want to learn. Or if you would like to learn a different way of, I would rather go inwards, find out why I decide to give my power away to things outside of me, understand that, transmute it, then I change the whole reality that's outside of me, because I've changed on the inside. And if you want to go that way, there's learning in that too. It's just about having clarity of choice. So I hope this makes sense to you. Thank you so much, Supir, and for being always a lovely supporter as well. Thank you, thank you. All righty. Alrighty, so we have our friend Tara Lynn, and then we have John, and then we have Palu. Yay! John says, I think one of the things Tara's channeled is the law of balance, suggesting you might be able to shine only as bright as the darkest you've embodied. Not to say be terrible, but be conscious. Yeah. And Supir says, thanks for this beautiful message. You're very welcome. You guys have some wonderful, wonderful messages and things to say. So definitely anybody who's watching the replay, check out the chat. There's a lot of good stuff going on. I know I'm doing some messages here, but there's a lot of good things being shared in the chat as well. Sorry, I can't read all of it, but I know you guys are amazeballs. All right, Tara Lynn. Coven of Curiosity, let's dive in. Oh, you know what? I want to give you a little bit more incense too, while this coal is still hot. All right, smoking it up for our friend Tara Lynn. All righty, and then it'll be our buddy John and Palu. Excellent. Whoa, Tara Lynn, that's a lot of cards. Let's see if we can make it more concise. Man, why is it that there's always that one cloud that just seems to follow the sun? All right, diving into Tara Lynn's shadow, if you don't mind sharing it. Ooh, Rita of Cassia. The patroness of impossible causes. I am miraculous. My prayers create powerful channels of possibility. All right, let's dive into this one. Okay. Okay. This seems very similar to the last message, actually, and it is about being the creatrix. But this is more steeped in the people that have been in your reality. So not so much like the things like we were speaking about with Sukbir, but this seems more about people that you've encountered throughout your life, and more specifically, the people that you might say were not so good to you, that were difficult, even people that you might say brought you harm in one form or another, whether it was emotionally, energetically, perhaps even physically. And when you go in to do your healing work, this is the understanding that although it might be difficult for our human self to understand why we would be resonating with a particular energy that we might deem horrible, like somebody was, we might say, very bad to me. They hurt me emotionally, they hurt me mentally, they hurt me physically. And we might say, why? Even if I was a child at the time, why would a child bring that energy into their life? That doesn't make sense. And of course, it doesn't make sense to our human self. And if we keep the energy in that way by saying, I would never do that to myself, we continue to disempower ourselves. We continue to say that I had no control over it. And I know that this is a difficult concept, especially when we're talking about young children. That why would a child bring in somebody that would hurt them in whatever form that may be? And remember that in 3D, we look at things in linear time, that a child is young, they're inexperienced, but our souls are eternal. There's a multi-dimensional, non-aging soul within that child that is just as wise as any adult on the planet. So when that multidimensional soul, albeit in a young form, brings in a particular entity or person to help them to understand something about themselves, we can look at it from that perspective instead of the perspective of allowing an adult to hurt a child in a way, like I said, mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever it may have been. And this would be helpful in our healing because we don't put up the blockage of, I had no hand in it. I could never do that to myself. That's wrong. We should never do that to children. That was very hurtful. But we bring that blockage down so that we can actually have our true healing, because our ego doesn't want us to heal. So it continues to tell us that you had no power in that situation. When we did, those people were in alignment with you, you were in alignment with that time, so that we can learn something and so that we could heal, we could show gratitude, and we can finally let it go. Because to hold on to it continues to hurt us here in the present. All of our decisions that we make are based on that hurt. All of the people we choose to hang out with, all of the situations that we bring into our reality will continue to be reflected from that part of ourselves where we say, I had no power in that situation. We will continue to feel disempowered in the present. But if we want to feel empowered and feel like I only want to understand situations rather than to feel like situations just happen randomly to me, then we empower ourselves and we empower our reality here in the present. So again, I know that this is, it can be very touchy, very difficult, because this is a deep programming for all of us. I had some things in my past that I would say were very difficult. And there was a time where I said, me as a child, I would never bring that into my reality. Why would I do that? Why would a child do that? But now that I understand my soul and I understand my energy, that it was my soul that was bringing in that for a reason. I wanted to learn something, and the person who was involved, the people that were involved, they wanted to learn something too. And now, if I can look at it from that broader perspective, what was the lesson? What were we all trying to learn? Let me look through their eyes, and let me look through my younger version of myself. Let me look through their eyes. Let me empower myself so that I can finally show gratitude for all of those souls that came together, no matter what mask or label they wore here on earth. I want to look at them at a soul level. All of us souls came together for a reason, and we all played a different role. Why was that? What was to be learned? I show gratitude for all of those souls. I show love to all of those souls because those souls are me. They are not separate from me. They were playing a character for me. I release it so that now, here in the present, I'm not acting off of what happened before. So I hope that makes sense of just a different way of looking at the traumas and the things that happened to us in the past that we find very difficult. That, it may have been one person or several people, but we say, why would I have brought that person into my situation? Again, look at them at a soul level. Why did me as a soul bring in that other version of myself into this situation? What was I trying to learn? And release yourself from it, so that you can be a more of who you are here in the present. I would say less shackled, more of you. So I hope this makes sense. Tara Lynn said, definitely, my ex-husband was very abusive to me for over 20 years. Plus, I have unspoken trauma over my dad who died when I was young, but I remember some things that I've never told anyone. So yeah, like I said, these are all aspects of ourselves. And I know it can be very difficult. I've had trauma as well, physical abuse as well. But let's look at it at a soul level. Let's look at the soul of your father. Why did that portion of you decide to exit at that time? And the soul that you were, what was the agreement? What were we trying to learn together? The ex-husband playing the role of an abuser. Why did that soul choose to play that role? What were you trying to learn? What were you both trying to learn? And in that, we empower ourselves instead of shutting it away and saying it's too difficult. I would never do that to myself. And then the cycle continues here in the present, but we want to break those cycles. We want to grow here in the present. So again, I hope it makes sense. Thank you so much for allowing me to pull this card for you. I know that working with Hecate can be difficult because we are diving into our deeper shadows. Silver Star says, Baby G Tara is doing super chat messages from Hecate if you choose to donate. Yes, Baby G, if you are interested. Coven of Curiosity says, thank you so much. This does help. So glad. John says, I'm a survivor of various abuses also. I understand how difficult these things are. It's all right to process these things at the pace you need. I don't think she's saying to rush the healing. Exactly. I'm not saying like, let's just go back and do everything all at once right now. Definitely go at your own pace. This is just bringing those shadows to the surface and giving you a different point of view. That is all. So, I'm not telling you how to heal or how fast to heal. That's up to you, of course. Jane says, I'm totally taking this reading. Janine says, impactful readings today. Oh, yeah. Anytime we dive into the shadows, yo. Okay. I see. I believe our buddy John was next. And then was that it? I think John was the last one, or am I incorrect? No, it was Palu. So John and then Palu, I believe. Let me just scroll. Okay. Yeah, I think that's right. Okay. Oops. All right. So John and then Palu. Bye, Lady Miss Squirrel Jr. All right, John. Let's dive into the shadows and let's get some more incense for you going, my brother. All right, let's get some of that ash off of my little charcoal here. And a little bit more of my Hecate incense blend, which again, you could find at Desert Cauldron if you are interested. Silver Star says, healing does take time. Nothing wrong with that. Be tender with yourselves. You are worth every moment. Exactly. Exactly. We chose to come here where things are a lot slower so that we could take our time, so we could do, you know, what we wanted, how we wanted, however we wanted to learn at whatever pace we wanted to learn at. That's why we are all here. Jane says, I'm trying to figure out my childhood. I do know that I am moving forward, so I stay out of the past as much as possible. How do we process molestation? I will look into my trauma. That is another thing, and that's also something that is in my family's past as well. But again, it's, I would say, at least for me, when things are very difficult to look at from my own eyes, my own perspective, like let's say, like when I was really young, if I were to just go back and look at it through the eyes of me as a little kid, it would be very hard for me to heal from it because I continue to feel as I did as a child. So I would say this is just my way. It's not, not my way or the highway. This is just one way of doing it. I try to go in as my higher self, not looking through me, the eyes of a child. And I look at it as if it were a play on stage. So I see younger me, I see the person or persons involved. And I go in and I ask, or if it's, if it's easier, I could look through the eyes of the people in that situation and try to understand what they were thinking, why they were doing it. And I go in and see why their soul was doing it, why my soul brought in their soul at that time, and why their soul brought in my soul at that time, and try to just look at it as a situation. I know that some things are very difficult, especially like molestation, abuse, all of that. But instead of going in and feeling the pain all over again, looking at it as the situation occurred. What was to be gained from the situation, albeit very, very difficult, especially when children are involved. What was the lesson? And looking at it from that higher perspective, I can now take it as my healing here in the present because I understand the lesson. I'm releasing it with love and gratitude because ultimately there was something that was beneficial in there, even though on the surface in 3D it seemed very dark and possibly even evil. But I want to get past those labels because I truly do want to heal here in the present. And I can't truly heal, at least for me personally, if I continue to label things as evil and dark, because I never will want to look at it from their perspective. I never will want to look at it fully for what it meant beyond a 3D level. But if I can look at it beyond that 3D level energetically, it gives me a better understanding. I can more fully integrate it so that I can heal from it. I hope that makes sense. And again, that's just my way of doing things. And that's just one way. There's, of course, a multitude of ways of doing that. Okay, so Jane says, oh, be an observer of the action from the higher self. Love that. Exactly. Yes, it has helped me very much. Astrid says, oh, okay, I voted for Hecate, so I think I need a message from her. Excellent. So Astrid will definitely do that. Okay, John, let's see. I want to put a little bit more incense for John. All right, John's starting to smoke it up. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, John, I hope you're ready to dive into the shadow. Let's do it. Alrighty. What do we have here? Ooh, Kuan Yin. Beautiful. Okay, so this is the goddess of compassion. I recognize suffering in order to release it. Curiosity breeds compassion. All right, so let's dive into this. Mm. Oh, okay. This is okay. Very interesting point of view. Again, like I said, these are very shadowy things. I know they can be difficult. Okay. So Hecate is saying, or at least the portion of you that is Hecate, is saying that, again, things in our past, whether it was, whatever form of trauma, little t trauma, capital T trauma, whatever it was, abuse, molestation, all of these things, verbal abuse, mental abuse, physical, that oftentimes we identify ourselves with the trauma that happened to us. So to put that more clearly, let's say, me personally, I was a child who had physical and verbal and mental abuse in the household growing up. As I got older, I continued to identify myself as one who is abused. Just like somebody might identify themselves as like, oh, I'm a Chargers fan, or I'm a Raider fan, or I'm a healer, or I'm a teacher. We give these labels to ourselves. Well, we do it with our traumas as well. I am one who was abused. I am one who was molested. I am one who lost my parents at a young age. Whatever we identify ourselves with. And by labeling ourselves with that, we start to create a reality in our adulthood and in our present based on that label. So if I say, I am a child who was abused, and that's who I am in this reality, then I will either surround myself with other people who resonate with that label, or I will continue to perpetuate that cycle. I will continue to create people and situations in my present that will continue to have me believe that I am one who is abused because I was abused at a young age. So now I might be abused by coworkers in one form or another. I might be abused by a higher up, or teachers, or husbands or wives, or whatever it may be, because I need to continue to keep that label of I am one who is abused. And therefore, I continue to resonate with other people, and I feel more deeply, and I project my abuse, a form of whatever my trauma or abuse was, onto others. So if I come across somebody else who says I too was abused, I might project my emotions and my feelings of how they feel because it's how I feel and how I felt. I didn't like being abused. I didn't like this. So now I see that person as me, and I might even give them more attention, more of my love, more of my kindness, because in a way, help heal myself through that other person. I want to help that person, yes, but because I want to help myself. I feel for them because I feel a particular way about abuse, whatever form it may have been in. And so when we go into heal, Hecate is just saying to understand, to look at what label you've given yourself here in the present. And it may not be conscious, it may be subconscious. So if you say, I am one who is abused, and that's part of my identity, that's part of who I am, understand that your reality will continue to reflect that, either with other people who were abused or continue to be abused, because that is your label. And that when you are helping people, wanting to help people as the, the service to others person that you are, I know that you want to help others, but sometimes integrated in that help is I want to help that person specifically, that person who was abused, just like I was abused, because in a way, I feel like I'm helping myself if I can help them, because I am projecting all of my trauma onto them. And I start to think I know how they feel just because I know how it felt. And yes, we can understand each other in this way. I know what it's like to be abused, so I can understand you better. But how much of it is us projecting our trauma onto them and giving it more weight and more significance to that relationship, to that person, because we want to heal through them? Where if we were healing through ourselves, yes, we can recognize that this person I'm talking to, they were abused, but I'm not projecting any of myself onto them. I just see them as a whole and separate person with their own traumas and shadows that they're working with, and I want to help them heal. But I don't want to help them heal only because I want to help myself heal in the process. It's a different energy. So I hope that makes sense. I know that sometimes I don't always make sense, but yeah, it's looking at others as whole and complete beings separate from my own trauma, so that I'm not projecting any of my trauma onto them. And sometimes we, like me as a teenager, I made friends with people who had similar traumas to me because that's where I felt safe. I felt safety in people that I thought really understood me because we shared the same trauma. So instead of, if I didn't do that and I looked at them as whole and complete people, I would have been friends with them because they were great friends, because they were good people and they had good personalities, and not just because I felt like, oh, I want to feel safe amongst people who share my trauma. Instead of making trauma friends, I would make friends just based on them being wonderful people. And actually, one of those wonderful people, he still is my best friend. But now, as I've healed and as he is healing as well, we're not friends because we share a very similar trauma. We're friends because he's an awesome guy, an awesome father and husband, and he likes me because, well, I'm always been his weirdo friend. So, yeah, it's just a different way, a different energy of interacting with our friends and the people around us, and looking at those situations and not giving ourselves a label, but like I said, you heal in your own way. This is just to point out that could be something that is in your present reality right now, is this label, which could be determining who is in your sphere based on that label. Hope it makes sense. Silver Star says, I love Kuan Yin, amazing energy. All right, we have our friend Palu and Astrid. Again, thank you to everybody who's allowed me to pull these cards. I know shadows can be so difficult, and I thank you for allowing these shadows to be shared with everyone, because I know it's going to help a lot of people. All the people who come here, read through the chat as well. Susie says, Coven of Curiosity, thank you for coming, and Tara is here every Sunday. Have a beautiful day. You have a great day, Coven of Curiosity. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. John says, I am aware of this. It's very common for those who were to try to conquer or pass by reliving it. It makes total sense. Yes, I understand. Like I've done it too. Silver Star says, do you take sugar, 1 lump or 2? Take a bottle, shake it up, break the bubble, break it up. She's like, I had to. Coming to Curiosity, it said, thank you so much for the love and support today. I've got to get back to work. You have a beautiful, beautiful day. All righty. John says, thank you. I'm trying to shift my view on experiences instead of feasting the future because of my past. I'm trying to reframe it as how exciting these potentials are, fearing the future. Well, we could be feasting on the future too. I don't know. The future does look delicious. Alrighty, thank you so much, guys. So let's go with our friend Palu, and then we have our friend Astrid. Silver Star says, you got this, John. You're amazing. He sure is. You guys all are. I really missed you guys last Sunday. It felt so weird. It was like, I don't get to hang out with my friends today, but I felt you guys energetically, so thank you. All right, Palu, let's give you a little bit more incense, Palu. Where's my incense? Oh, there it is. A little bit more Hecate incense for you. And then we have our friend Astrid. All right, so Palu also smoking it up. Palu said, very curious about this. Susan says, we love you. Silverstar says, I was a very sick slug myself. I think we were all doing some heavy purging. Go, 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 my little purgy homies. But yeah, glad you guys are feeling better, those of you that were a little under the weather. And also continuing to send love to our friend William, who at the beginning of the chat was looking for some healing love and prayers sent his way. Palu. Our Lady Guadalupe. All righty. It says, the Empress of Protection. I am safe and divinely protected. I am held in love at all times. Okay. Already some messages coming in for, again, it's just shedding light on shadows and programming. How you heal through it or what you do with the information is always up to you. But this is just to shed light on it, the aspect of you that is Hecate. Remember, all is one. And this is about actually just kind of what I was talking about in the card about protection. I know that in different religions, different belief systems, whether you consider yourself a religious person or not, in a lot of beliefs, there is this, we need to protect ourselves. I need to protect my energy. That I need to protect myself. And so in the 3D sense, when we talk about protection, some people protect themselves with pepper spray. Some people protect themselves with swords or a gun, or, we protect ourselves with security cameras or bolts on the door. That I need to protect myself from the outside world because the outside world is uncertain. I don't know what these people are going to do, and therefore I need to protect myself. Energetically, through certain religions, and again, belief systems, whether it's a religious belief system or not, just maybe spiritual. And I know that a lot of the quote unquote spiritual community, we talk about protecting ourselves. We say, like with the incense that I have, we may say, I want to burn incense because I need to protect this energetic environment. I need to clear the energy here and protect myself. So I use sage, or I place black tourmaline around my home because I want to create a protective grid, that I don't want negative energy to come near me. That's really at the crux of all of this, is that I am helpless, and therefore I am placing my power into the objects around me to protect me from that which would cause me harm. So whether you are doing an energetic protection or physical protection with using police officers, security cameras, guns, knives, sage, crystals, I'm not saying that those things are wrong. All those things have something to teach us. So let's learn from them. If I feel I need to protect myself from others, why do I feel that I am not a part of those others? If I'm bringing someone that I consider negative or a negative energy into my space by putting up a wall and saying, I don't want that, I don't want that, I'm denying the fact that I brought it into my sphere for a reason. I'm trying to teach myself something. They're trying to learn something. So let's take a negative entity, for instance. A negative entity has entered my sphere, and I say, no, go away, negative entity. I don't want you. You're bad. I don't want you in my energy. Go away. Instead, I could say, why have I brought this negative entity into my sphere? What is it trying to teach me? If I don't vibe with this negative entity, I've learned what I need to know and now I want it to go away. I know that in that learning, I change my vibration from that of fear to that of empowerment. I brought you here, not the other way around. You didn't come here not of my free will. I brought you in. And if I brought you in, I can make you leave. So if I brought you in, by the way, the gunfire you hear in the background, that's James. He's at our range. So don't worry about the blasting. But so it's like, if I brought you in, I learn what I need to know. In that, I change my vibration because I'm now not in a state of fear, but I'm in a state of learning. And now that entity that was at that vibration of me being in fear, it can no longer vibrate at my level and it just disappears. It goes away because I've learned the lesson and I've changed my frequency. If, however, I continue to be in the state of fear of go away, bad entity, I got my incense, I make you go away, or I have my crystals. Well, I'm not wearing my crystal right now, but I have one of my runes. It's like, I have my rune, go away, I make you go away. I'm saying that I have no power over you, that it's the crystal that has power over you, it's the incense that has power over you, but I have no power over you. And in that energy, I am scared. I am in a fearful energy, and I will continue to resonate with that energy until I realize that I'm the one that brought it in. I'm the one that's resonating at fear, and I no longer have fear. I now use it as a learning situation. The energy of learning is a higher vibration than the energy of fear. In that higher vibration, it's absolutely almost impossible to be in the energy of that dark entity. We're just not in alignment anymore. It can't be in my reality. Poof, it disappears. I didn't need the incense. I didn't need the crystal. I didn't need I didn't need the security cameras. I didn't need all of that because I wasn't resonating at its frequency anymore. And so it goes away because we've learned the lesson. And so we might say, well, what does that mean for other human beings that wish to cause us harm? It's the same thing, whether it's a negative entity or it's a negative entity inhabiting a human vessel. It's all about our energy. And if we are in the energy of fear, well, then we'll create an environment where we have something to fear. So if I'm a scared person and I say, ooh, there's mountain lions and there's crazy mountain folk around every corner, and I better protect myself because they're coming to get me. Well, I almost can guarantee you they're going to come to get me because I fear them. And the ones that are resonating in that fear as well, we're going to be in alignment with each other because we want to teach each other a lesson. The mountain lion might come into my reality to show me that I brought that mountain lion in. The mountain lion brought me into their reality. And until I realize that lesson, I will continue to vibrate at that fearful energy until I realize, you know what? I brought you in. The mountain lion says, wait a minute, I brought you in too. We don't have anything to fear from each other. Bye-bye mountain lion, bye-bye human, and we're not in each other's realities anymore. So this is just a message that when you go into your shadows, when you go into the healing, where is that programming coming from that you are a victim, that you should be in a state of fear rather than a state of understanding, and then you can let go of those things that you fear, so that they no longer resonate with you. So you wouldn't need the security cameras anymore. You wouldn't need the swords or the knives or the sage or the crystals or the incense. You wouldn't need any of that anymore because you realize that you are all of that energy. And that's a very empowering energy. The things that wish to cause you harm cannot vibrate at that higher level because it's a higher frequency. It's a higher level of understanding. Not to say that, it's always going to be hunky-dory, but we have a better grasp of our reality with that understanding. And I guarantee you, like around here, I've come across bobcats and mountain lions, like literally like 20 feet away from me. And they don't care. They don't wish me any harm because I'm not scared of them and they're not scared of me. So why would we want to cause each other any harm? We don't. I've been around some weirdos, I would say. I mean, some of the people here, I mean, maybe they think I'm a weirdo. That's probably true. But I'm not scared of them, and they're not scared of me. So why would we want to cause harm to each other? So I hope this makes sense. I hope so. Yes, and then like, with God, yes, I believe in, a God. Like people would say it's source, but I also believe that source is us. And so that, yes, when we do it, we have our prayers and we believe in God, or we believe in a higher power. For me, I also believe that that higher power is me, that we are one in the same. So that, anytime I call on God, God is nowhere out there. God is right in here. God is a part of us. Some call it source, some call it God, some call it Allah, whatever name you want to call it. I feel like it is all right here. It's never far away. So very beautiful. Thank you for allowing me to pull these cards for you. John says, if a bit of me are in everything and everything is a part of me, why do I need protection from it? Why am I protecting me from myself? Just another aspect of self to learn. Me in the mirror. Yes, I'm looking at the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. Exactly. All right, our friend Astrid is next. Silver Star says resonance, and Easy Does says yes. John says me looking at past trauma. Oh snap, it's clicking. Paulu said amen. Yes, amen. I believe. All right, Astrid, our final read for the day. So we'll say Astrid is last. I guess we'll close off our readings after that, and then we'll do a channel guided meditation. I think that would be a lot of fun. John says, I'm not trying to make fun of anybody with this. It's total self-reflection. Hey, no worries. I know that you're a lighthearted guy. I get your sense of humor. I do the same thing with myself and with my healing, so I get it. All right, let me have a little bit of tea. Oh, yeah. And all these messages, your guys' messages, resonate with me too. So I'm trying to integrate all of this. I'm glad I have my heart opener tea. Whew, hits me right in the chakra, yo. All right, so for Astrid, let's put a little bit more incense for you. Silver Star says, this is such a powerful statement. It's all in you. Stop looking outside. It's in me. I see. This has been a word of the week. It's all right here. It's all within me. It sure is. It always has been. But that's why our world is designed the way it is. It's designed to always have us looking outside of ourselves. Because if every being on the planet, whether they were a tree or an animal or a person, if we knew that everything was right here, would anything ever have power over you ever again? Whether it was another human or fear or whatever? I don't think so. We would be free and sovereign beings. And I guarantee the Matrix does not like that. But you know what? The Matrix is also us. So why would we do that to ourselves? Another thing to ponder. Okay, so we have a little bit of incense going for our friend Astrid. Okay. All right, Astrid, you ready to go into the shadow? Susie says sovereign, unrestricted, unbounded. Dude, if we all knew that we create this reality, if we all knew that it was all in here, God, source, our higher self, everything that ever was here, nothing would have dominion over us. Nothing. No leader could rule over us. Nobody could do anything. Because we'd be like, I'm all powerful, yo. I don't fear you. What you gonna do? And they would just vibrate right out of our reality. How interesting. Wow, Astrid, this is probably going to be one heck of a message because we just blew these cards right out of my hands. Wow. Is this going to be like, we're just going to read the whole deck? It's like one whole deck message. Okay, let's try that again. um, Astrid. And again, thank you to everybody who's getting these readings, getting these messages. I know that it's difficult, number one, to look at our shadows. Number two, to share them with a group of people. Excuse me, it's the tea. But it's the understanding I think that you guys have is that your messages are going to be beneficial for everybody else, that we're all integrating your messages, that yes, they are individual messages for you, but I think that they're messages for all of us. So thank you so much for your willingness to share them with all of us. All right, Astrid, you have Diana. I don't know why I have Michael Jackson in all of his songs playing in my head right now. This is not Dirty Diana. This is just Diana. But okay, Queen of the Wilderness. The language of the natural world is a frequency of love. This is my mother tongue. All right, let's dive in, Astrid. Okay. Okay. So this is a programming around environment. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, what do I mean by this? When, let's say we're living in the middle of a city, and we say, man, this city is really toxic, and you know it's just so busy with all the cars and the smog, and you know there's a lot of crime, and you know I need to get out of the city. And I feel really weighed down by being in this city. Like I don't like the energy of this city. My life would change, and I would feel better about my energy and myself if I could be in a different environment. I want to go live in the mountains. I mean, yes, literally, like I live in the mountains. So take this as you will. But say I'm going to be better energetically. I'm going to be so much happier if I could just be in nature. Nature is the trees. It's the rocks, and freaking dirt on the ground. I want to see the birdies. I want to see the squirrels. I would just be so much more at peace with myself if I could change my environment. But this is a reminder from Diana, from Hecate, from all these aspects that are you, that you are your environment. That if you have created an environment where you are in the middle of a city, it's crowded, there's smog, there's maybe crime, lots of cars, lots of noise, then first let's understand why we created that environment for ourselves. Why did I decide to be in that environment? And is my energy dictated by my environment, or do I dictate the energy of my environment? Meaning, is it me that can hold my vibration and my energy and everything adapts around me? Or am I at the whims of everything around me to dictate how I feel about myself or how I feel about my energy? And I will say that this is just me on a personal thing, not saying this is for everybody. When I lived in Tempe, here in Arizona, at first I was very like, oh my gosh, there's so many cars, and I don't know why these people who live in the middle of the desert don't have trees and shade. Like, what's wrong with these people? And I was like, it's freaking hot here. It gets to like 115 degrees in the summer. They don't have any shade. These people are crazy, and there's so many crazy cars, and I don't like the energy, and I just want to go away. I just want to go live in the mountains, and I'm looking everywhere. I'm trying to find property in the mountains. I'm not finding anything. Until I realized, why am I allowing my outside environment to dictate how I feel? Like, aren't I supposed to be the one that is like on this spiritual journey? Like, shouldn't I have a better understanding of my own energy? Maybe I feel crowded, like my city is crowded. Maybe I feel cluttered with the smog. Maybe I feel that I've made decisions that are maybe not so well thought out, like the city has made decisions that aren't so well thought out, like with the lack of shade, Why do I feel like the sun is beating down on me internally, metaphorically speaking? Like, why have I created this environment? When I started to try and understand why I placed myself in that environment with all those people and all of those cars and all of the lack of trees, why? Why did I do that? And when I started to see it from that perspective, and I started to shift my energy to, it doesn't matter what my neighbors are doing, in my apartment complex. It doesn't matter what the cars are doing. It doesn't matter what the mayor is doing. All that matters is me and my energy. When I started to change my energy, almost like magic, this property popped up on the real estate, and it was right right in my price range. Like everything that I needed just magically occurred because I needed to be in the vibration, me personally. So it wasn't that I needed to find a place to escape. I just needed to find something that was more in alignment with myself. And the way I needed to do that was to actually understand my energy myself. So as I raised my frequency, I was no longer at the frequency of living in a city. I had learned what I needed to learn. I raised my vibration, and now I became more in alignment with this place, the mountains and things like that. So when we say, going back to the message here, that are you a victim of your environment, or do you create your environment? Are you the creatrix of that environment? So let's say you do live in a city, or you do live in an apartment, and you say, I need to go out to nature to feel at peace. But nature is you. Nature is all in here. Nature is yes, reflected in the trees and the animals, but we are nature. And if we are nature and everything is natural, then we have created those buildings. We being the natural beings have created those cars, created those sidewalks, created the asphalt. And if we've done that, we have to ask ourselves why. And why have I put myself in an environment where I decide that I have to go somewhere else to go do my meditation, I have to go somewhere else to go be happy? Why? Why is that? It's all learning. It's not saying it's good or bad, just why? Why am I in the environment that I'm in? Why have I created this? And if I understand that I'm creating that environment, well, then I can change that environment because I changed my frequency first. And as you change your frequency, you may realize that that environment starts to shift away from you, and other environments become a reality to you. They get presented to you as opportunities. Would you like to come here now, Astrid? Would you like to do this now? Would you like to go here? Sure, because that's where my vibration takes me. So this is more about understanding what is nature. When I say I need to go to nature to go do my witchy stuff, I need to go to nature to go do my meditation. Well, why do I have to go somewhere else when the somewhere else is here? I change here first, and then my outer world changes. So I hope that makes sense. Susan says, hashtag burning sage. Yes, one day we will have that retreat here. But yeah, this is something that, I'm still learning with, because we do have, when we first came here, there was still more learning. I mean, obviously, learning is like an infinite thing. There is no end to our learning. But we were like, we didn't really understand our neighbors too well. And, so there was always this, I don't really know how to live out here. We still had like this old energetic mindset until we became more in tune with like our own energy, and that we are reflecting everything. All of a sudden, this place, although yes, it is beautiful, it's been molded to our energy instead of this place, telling us how we need to be. So, our neighbors are wonderful. And we believe like these neighbors, these animals that we hang out with, these trees, they're all a reflection of how we see ourselves and how we are vibrating. If we had conflict with our neighbors, if we had conflict with all of these animals, they would again also just be a reflection of what was going on in here. And when this changes, all of this changes. So thank you so much, Astrid, for allowing us to pull that shadow card. But thank you to everybody who allowed me to pull these cards. Thank you so much. Angela, hey, Angela is here. Says blessings. Hello, everyone, with lots of love today. May you all be well. with all of you, and you get angel hugs today. Amen. Amen. And she says, OMG, Susie, good morning. Much love and many hugs to you. How is your day? How do you do? And Susie says, whatever you are, Tara, you always make it warm. From San Diego to Tempe to the mountains. Ooh, ooh. John says, this has been intense. A full moon in a good way. So many dreams, feels, and realizations or reminders. So much love in this one. Yes. And Silverstar throwing out the gratitude for our girl Hecate, which is also us. We are the goddesses. We are the gods. We are source. We are our environment. We are everything. I'm you. You are me. To the 100th degree. Easy Does It says, hearing the truth makes your body tingle. Astrid said, so true. I'm a little bit sick of the city and miss like the seaside, but thank you for reminding me that it's my home myself. We're all right here. You guys are right here. Angela says, hail Hecate and all the gods and goddesses. Yes. And Easy Does It, by the way, my James and I, our cousin, is like, whenever she like feels truth, she always feels it in her body. I think a lot of people get that, where they get the tingles or they get the goosebumps, like, you know. Oh, and Stormy Fever is here as well. Yes, yes. Thank you guys. Oh, wow. And the incense is still going. I would like to leave us with one last message, which will carry over into our channeled guided meditation. So I would actually like to ask Hecate, which is the aspect that is us, what we could focus on in this meditation. Of course, a healing meditation, a shadowy meditation, but let's see. One last message, and then this will be the focus for our meditation. Thank you to everybody who donated. Thank you to everybody who got a reading. Here is Hecate's final message. Oh, yeah. Actually, my sister resonates with her quite a bit. So I don't know if my sister is watching, or maybe she'll watch later. But hey, Katie, that's my baby sister. She loves Joan of Arc. And so this says, the warrior of light, I have a steel-like faith in myself. The angels armor me with conviction. Okay, so let's see what the final message from Hecate is. Let me just put my cards over here and resituate myself. We have the last of our little incense going. Okay. 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 Actually, Hecate was saying to look at the story of Joan of Arc. And how we see that story is based on our own programming and our own shadows. Again, it's just a perspective. So in the story, just to simplify it, Joan of Arc, she basically has an awakening. She knows that she has to go do something. She follows her heart. She follows her intuition. She does what she needs to do. At the end of it, some would say, well, she followed her heart, but look where it got her. She ended up, dying at the hands of these people that called her a heretic, and that it was blasphemy and all of this. And so we would say that from one perspective, well, following the soul gets you killed. Look what happened to her. Another perspective would say, Joan of Arc followed her soul. Her soul was in alignment with how that ended. She wanted to have an exit point at that time, that was all a part of her mission. And so to say that it should have been a different way is really from your own perspective. That was the way she wanted it to go. The people around her were learning something. She was learning something. All the souls in that situation were learning something. And it was all a part of her soul growth. Her beginnings, her endings, it's all a part of her soul growth and her mission. To look at it through the eyes of fear, we would say that I never want to live in my higher self. I never want to do that because something bad could happen in the end. But remember, we create our reality, and that's the reality she created for herself. And that she was very happy in being who she truly was. She was living as her. It didn't matter what anybody thought of her. In fact, it was they weren't really a part of her reality. It was like, I'm just me. I'm just doing my thing. And then I exited, no bad feelings about anything. And that's how her soul saw it. Other people would see it differently, again, based on our own programming and our own traumas. We look and shift the story based on how we feel about that maybe we might be scared to share our light, that we might be scared to stand in our truth because we say something bad could happen if we do that. But if we're in alignment with that, it's for a reason. If we're not in alignment with that, that's also for a reason. So this is all just about being you, being authentically you. And of course, there's learning in inauthenticity just as much as there is learning in being authentic. But when we are in our authenticity, everything will just be in alignment with us, just like everything is in alignment with someone who is inauthentic. But you have to have clarity of vision. So if we are clear that I want to be inauthentic right now, or I want to be authentic right now, at least I'm clear on why all the things are happening as they are in my environment, and I want to learn from them. So remember, everything is just a learning opportunity. She was learning, we're all learning. And so maybe that could be the focus of our guided meditation today, is the understanding that we are at the center of our entire reality. We are the creators. And when we are fully in our authentic higher self, we have that clear vision. I'm not scared of my shadows, and I'm not scared of my light, because I realize that they are all just aspects of me. It's not good or bad. They all just are. And I want to learn from all of them. I want to see all aspects of myself. And in doing so, I make more clear decisions. I have more clear intentions. My thoughts are more clear. My words are more clear. And I create the reality that is in alignment with me. If I feel like something is in my world that I don't like, I have to ask myself why I have brought it in, because I am the master creator. I brought that person in. And if I don't like that person, I want to understand why. And when I raise my vibration in that learning, who knows, that person, maybe they change in their energy, maybe they disappear, but the situation itself will change because I have changed. You are at the center of it all. At the center of it all is your light. It is you, your sovereignty. Yeah, I think we could learn a thing or two from Joan of Arc. But remember, Joan of Arc is also you. Hecate is you. I'm you. You're me. All those things. So, let's go into. Let's do a guided meditation on that then. I'll just kind of let my intuition guide me. We'll do like a channel guided meditation based on us being at the center of our reality, being creators of that reality, and being in our authentic self, which is our light and our shadow. Fully authentic. Let's do it. Angela says, ignore the haters. You're beautiful souls who are meant you're being truthful. Some people just are not ready for their bubble to pop. Yep. All we can do is be ourselves and just try to learn. That is all. Susie says, yes, I need to work on that too. Worried what other people will think. Shadow work on this as well. Easy Does This says, fierce comes to mind. John says, a candle that burns twice as bright, burns twice as fast. I think I was looking at her early exit wrong. Ah, interesting. Definitely a lot to think on. I think with all of your messages and all of this, it's been wonderful. Angela says, it really is. They didn't kill her. They ascended her. That's how I always thought of it. I never tried saint work, but mad respect for Joan of Arc. All right. Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, she could have ascended before, all that stuff could have happened. Who knows? And who knows if it's even written as it in truth. The only way we would know is if we were to go inwards, connect with the energy of Joan of Arc herself, and get truth that way, instead of what's written in books. Not that books are unimportant. It's good to read a book. I like reading books, but real truth comes from in here. All right, so let's put this down. Let me give you guys a better view. Actually, this is why I'm going to keep this on my legs. All right, I'm going to move the camera over here. And let's see. Let's go. Let's zoom in on these mountains. Whoa. Maybe this tree. It's a nice tree. All right. Silver Star says, in the middle of that message, my chat kept bugging, then my right ear rang so loud. That was interesting. Ooh, maybe go into that. You know what I was thinking? Maybe this tree is better. This is Anna's tree. Usually has lots of birdies. Okay, yeah, let's do this tree. All right, so are you guys ready? Let's do this. Let's do our little meditation. Okay, so go ahead and get yourselves into a nice, comfortable space. You could be outdoors, sitting under a tree. You could be lying down on your bed, maybe sitting in a chair, sitting on a cushion on the floor. Whatever position is good for you. And make sure you are in a space where you'll be undisturbed for the next several minutes. And as you get yourself nice and cozy, go ahead and bring your awareness to your breath. Feeling the rise and fall of your chest. Feeling the air as it moves in through your nose and out through your mouth. Does the air feel warm? Does it feel cool? Is it brisk? And notice your breathing. Is it shallow? Is it deep? Is it fast or slow? No judgment, we're just noticing our breath. And as you breathe in, where do you feel your breath? Do you feel it in your throat? Do you feel it in your chest, in your lungs? Maybe you feel the breath down into your diaphragm. Maybe you feel that breath all the way down to your tippy toes. And when you exhale, where do you feel that exhale from? Is it from deep inside of you? Is it more shallow, the surface, perhaps from the throat, the tops of the lungs? Just noticing, that is all. Continue breathing. And as you breathe, let's set an intention. This time, as you inhale, I want you to feel, truly feel into the air as it enters your body. And this time with the perspective that you are that air, that you are giving your own self life at this moment. You are the trees and the algae and the plants and the shrubs that have offered you this oxygen at this moment. That you have created a world in which you have allowed yourself to breathe this beautiful air. Whether it is warm or cold, whether there are few trees or many in the environment that you have created, it is all you. And as you exhale, that you are releasing a piece of yourself into the creation of that world. Every breath that you exhale is another piece of the puzzle that is around you. It creates every building, every person, every animal, every situation is a part of that exhale. You give life to everything around you. And everything around you, which is you, gives you life. And continue to breathe in and exhale with this perspective. I am my own life giver. I am source. I am the people I consider my friends and family, and I am the people I consider my enemy. I have given them all life in my reality. I am the animals. I am the cars on the street. I am the asphalt. I am the dirt, the rocks. I am the situations that are both joyful and painful. I've created them all because I have the ability to learn. I came here to learn, and learn I will. And as I exhale with intention, with clear understanding that everything in my reality is just a reflection of my light and my dark. There is no good or bad. It all just is. If I want to change a person or a situation, I change myself first. And then I change my world. Breathing in understanding, breathing in your sovereignty, breathing in your power, and exhaling that reality. Continue breathing. I have no judgment on myself. I know that I am multifaceted. If I have lived in inauthenticity for long, I wanted to teach myself something. I wanted to learn in inauthenticity. If I am authentic, I did that so I could also learn. What was I to learn? If I have surrounded myself in what I might consider more darkness than light, what was I trying to teach myself? What was I trying to learn? I know that every time I learn, I raise my vibration. And everything that is in alignment with that vibration is what is with me. I can only surround myself with my own frequency. If I want to live in a higher frequency, I raise my own frequency. I raise my frequency through understanding, through learning, through diving into my shadows as well as my light. And in the shadows, we find our light. And within our light, we oftentimes find a shadow. All is as it should be. If I am unhappy with anything in my environment, I ask myself why. Truly, why? As I breathe it in, I learn its lessons. I change my frequency. I breathe it out. I change my world. Continue breathing. And as you allow this information to settle in any way that it does within you, I want you to bring your awareness to the center of your being. That beautiful light that we call source right there inside of you. That light that some call God, Allah, whatever you may call it, whatever label you may give it, it doesn't change the fact that it is you. Revel in its warmth, because that warmth is you. All possibilities, light and dark, reside within an endless amount of characters, an endless amount of plots and themes, all there ready to be created in your reality, ready to help you to grow. And in that, we can show gratitude for whatever label we give people around us, and animals and plants, whether we label them good or bad. We realize that they're all just playing a part for you. You created them. And we thank them. We send them off in healing and love, because then ultimately that's what everything is made of. Love. Both light and dark, made in love. Love is you. Love is at your core. And when you are ready, after you've allowed this information to settle wherever it needs to settle within your being, you can bring your awareness back into your body. Start wiggling your fingers and toes. And perhaps have yourself a nice stretch. All right. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this beautiful Sunday. Hey, we got the sun shining up there. Oh. I hope you guys had a great time. Thank you for those of you that pulled cards with us at the very beginning for the weekly messages. And also thank you to everybody who donated for messages from Hecate. Remember, Hecate is also an aspect of you. Thank you for allowing us to look into your shadows so that we could understand our own shadows, so that we could all heal and grow together. You guys are all amazing. You guys are all very brave. I thank you so much. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. All right, guys. Oop, sorry. Okay, bye.